How did you first hear about TM and decide to try it out?
Yeah, so I had been around Eastern philosophy probably since about 2003. So just entry point, like many people, books like Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, all of this kind of popular spirituality books. I went to the Birmingham Buddhist Center around about 2003. That's where I was living at the time, and started with the Buddhist meditation, going there a few times per week. Did that for a few years, but kind of felt something was missing, and started Googling online.
And when you say you were interested in Buddhism in 2003, so you were
Mhm.
looking around. So why did you learn meditation? What were you looking for specifically? What
I think the book Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle made a big impression on me, but his method is not. Well, it's not really a method. I would
does he
not
have a
say.
method? Because I
Not
remember
really.
reading that book and I loved the book. But 50% of me was very frustrated because it's like, how do I be like this?
Exactly. So obviously he sat on a park bench and got struck by something very powerful, and a force that most of us perhaps have not been exposed to. And meditation seemed to be at least a promise towards, or a way to get what he had experienced. So, and just a friend introduced me to or mentioned that the Buddhist Center. I lived quite close to it at the time, so I thought, why not? Why not check it out? And I did a 1 day retreat there very early on from going there, and I mean, I felt amazing afterwards. And I always felt really good and nice and relaxed and positive after I did the Buddhist meditation. But I wasn't really observing much change in my life in terms of whether I was moving forward or not. So it was relaxing, it was stress relief, and we shouldn't knock that. That's incredibly important in this day and age, in this modern world. But I didn't really feel that my life was moving forward. So that's what caused me to look at TM.
Okay, okay. And okay, good, 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 interesting. And when you learnt, did you say 2010?
With Brian,
So roughly 15 years ago.
yeah.
What was your initial experiences, let's say in the first sort of few weeks, if you can remember?
Yeah, so, I mean, it just felt like there was a fairly big shift in the first few weeks straight after. And I am a very I want tangible proof type guy. Okay, so I've been running businesses for a very long time, and I think the period prior to uh, Brian. Brian took me to one side. How's the meditation going? And I was like, yeah, all right. And I was only doing once a day at that point. So he gave me a good talking to, and said, you're not getting anywhere near the benefit doing it once a day. So I went down to Norfolk, rebooted. He got me into the twice a day. Prior to that, I'd been through a period which is probably the worst financial period of my life. Just really bad results in business, personal debt, a lot of financial issues. And then from the point at which I did the TM onwards, that changed fairly significantly over the next 3 or 4 years.
Okay, and that's very, from a data side, that sounds very interesting.
Mm.
Was it causation or correlation?
Well, this is it. That's very difficult to determine. Uh, there's, I guess, two ways that I always try and measure any change that I make, because I've tried many different things over the years for health, wellness, Reiki, healing, many different things. And I think there's two measurements. One is, can you see external progress and whatever it is you're trying to achieve? And money for all its faults is a pretty good measurement,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one. Then the second thing is, and I guess the more important yardstick is when things don't go according to plan or how your mind wants it to go
Sure.
in the external world. How bothered are you internally by that? Okay, what's the resistance internally? I call it, how much does what's happening out there move the needle in here?
Mhm.
Okay, and I would say pre-TM, it would take very little out there to move the needle and very dramatically in here. And over the last 15 years, it's been a very significant and rapid progression the other way, to the point where even if fairly big things happen out there that are not or what I would like or could be perceived as negative, yeah, of course the needle moves, right? It moves for all of us, but it takes a lot to move it very much. And I think that's probably the key
Brilliant.
measurement.
And presumably that's something that's you're not thinking yourself out of being reactive. It's more of a spontaneous built-in feature of you. Is that
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, my buttons still get pushed, okay? Um, for sure, there's a long way to go on that journey, but a lot of things that used to really, really bother me, small things that happen at work or whatever, it doesn't hardly register. And then when bigger stuff happens, of course, there's still a reaction, a negative reaction internally, but it dissipates much quicker instead of being thinking and thinking and thinking, and sometimes for days on end. That doesn't really happen anymore.
Amazing.
It's a much shorter period of being bothered and kind of resisting what's happening.
Yeah. It's like your recovery is quicker.
Yeah.
I wonder how that works. I'm so interested in it,
Mhm.
how the machinery of the physiology and the
So the way I look at it is what TM's really doing is the all of the physical and mental, emotional baggage that's built up since we've been born. Um, I don't know if this is true. This is just my view of it. But the evening meditation for me, it feels like it's clearing all of the stuff that happened in the day, right? All of the emotions that are aroused, all of the stresses, and it's a reset into the evening. Um, then for me, you've had a good night's sleep. You wake up fresh. So what is that morning meditation? What do I think that's doing for me? For me, that is feels like it's taking care of all of the past stuff that wasn't necessarily the day before. That's still the system and the physiology and the nervous system is still carrying this stuff, and it's just chipping away at it.
Mhm.
And as that chipping away process goes, there's less there to affect the needle.
yeah.
But when the needle is surrounded by baggage and stresses everywhere, what's coming from the outside just has to touch one thing and all of a sudden off we go. But as we chip away at that and let go of all that stress and baggage, uh, the needle just becomes more centered.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I
Mm.
can relate to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So you're meditating 15 years, roughly speaking,
something. Yeah, yeah.
and you run a company
Hmm.
at the moment. And Christine mentioned something about you offer TM to all your employees. Is that right? Have I got it right? Or is
Yes.
something similar?
Yes, yeah. So, I when I set up the current business in 2015, my intention was really to keep it very small, a one-man band. I'm in recruitment and just focus on placing lots of people and doing very well for myself and the family and just doing that for the next 20 years. So I set it up in 2015. The company is Data Science Talent, and that was August 2015. Then I did the TM City program a year later in 2016, myself and my wife, who also works in the business, Imtiaz. And from that point, the business just took off. And it became clear that the right thing to do was to actually build it and hire people and create an asset that would be more than just a personal income stream. So as part of that process, I decided, I think 2017, we had the first training course with Brian, and that was in Leicestershire. We booked a hotel for a few days. We had basically a kind of a retreat. We got everyone together. I think was there 6 of us at the time? A couple of UK employees, and we flew in a couple of, or maybe it was 3 employees from India, because we have a remote team, a small remote team in India. And we did we put on TM training with Brian for the guys. And the funniest thing about that was the guys from India couldn't believe it. They've come over to India, to the UK. And here's this white guy, TM teacher, talking to them in obviously their own language, right? They're like, what's going on here?
Why couldn't they come to India?
Yeah. Why did we?
Why couldn't we stay at home?
Yeah, so that was quite amusing. They weren't expecting that, because I didn't really tell them too much about it, to be honest. Other than, do you want to do it? They said yes, and yeah, that was hilarious. So we did that, and then that became a regular thing. Once every year, every 18 months, when new people joined, the company would pay for them to learn TM. And yeah, I've got a spreadsheet tracking our revenue every quarter since 2015, and that's pretty interesting. So,
how many people have gone through the TM machine in your company then?
I thought you might ask me that. I'm not sure, but it's over the years, it probably is something like around about 12 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what about the money? So do you believe that, conclude that your success is related to TM being practiced by the employees that want to do it?
I absolutely believe, yes, that's a major factor in 2 things. One, the company runs pretty well with a reasonable amount of friction compared to most places that I've worked over the years. Not saying we don't have our issues. Every company has their issues, of course, but it's a very calm environment compared to most recruitment companies, I would say. So I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is I have a spreadsheet which details our revenue, our quarterly revenue, since we started in 2015 up to the present day. And there is a pretty clear pattern of a solid increase in revenue the quarter that comes after each time we do a TM training program for new team members in the office. So that's pretty clear. The only time it didn't occur was we did a TM training course for a couple of people during the pandemic, in between the lockdowns. But obviously the global economy was in free fall in that period. So I guess to expect revenue to go up in that period would have been, that would have been pushing it borderline miraculous. Yeah. So so it didn't go up in that period, but it also didn't go down as much as I think it could have done. A lot of our competitors did a lot worse than we did in that time period. But yeah, the pattern is clear every other quarter, and we're looking at 7 or 8 courses that we've done where we've put multiple employees through the TM training.
Do you think that's because people get on better, so they're more productive and they're clearer thinking and they have more energy? They're kind of the usual, causes that you'd expect.
Yeah, that's for sure part of it. Um, if you have, and virtually everyone has taken it up. Not everyone has kept doing it. I mean, when you put something on for free for everyone, you're never going to have 100% uptake and continued practice. But 90% of the people that have been offered it over the years that have worked for us have actually done the training, and I would say 50 to 60% are daily practicers of TM. So, and the other thing that we've done, we moved the office from Leicester to Staffordshire, and then Christine Curtis became our contact. Brian did the early training courses, then Christine Curtis took over. Christine does a monthly Zoom TM session with the guys, so that keeps the team in India engaged, and also the UK team on track, because like anything, people lapse, they come back to it, and it's just a monthly check-in to keep everyone going.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have a special, are you remote or what?
We're in the office. The UK team are in the office 2 days a
Okay.
week, 3 days from home. And obviously the team in India are fully remote.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have like organized meditations, time slots, or is it like you do it at home?
So most people prefer to do it at home. But we have had employees, because it can be crazy in the morning, come in before we start at 9, and the boardroom is available anytime that people want to meditate, and that meeting room space has had, I think, 4 or 5 pujas in there from the various courses, so it's got a really nice energy.
Nice.
Not quite as high energy as here, as where we're sat now, but it's very, very nice. It's very different to the rest of the office.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but typically the guys will do it at home, unless there's a reason that they can't.
Right. Okay. Nice. Do you have children?
Yes. Imtiaz and I, we have two boys, both special needs. So they're grown up, as in they're one is 24 and the other one is in his mid-30s. So
Really? You look young.
look far too young.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's it's interesting. Our life is busy, clearly. But I think that's one of the huge benefits of TM, is that it just keeps you twice a day centered, and yeah. So,
And are you quite disciplined about, doing the best you can to do it twice a day?
it's very, very rare that I don't remember the last time that I missed. Occasionally, it has to be done on the train,
Sure.
which isn't ideal, or an airplane or whatever. I think we've all had that experience. But I've even done it in underground car parks in the back of the car.
I think finally, the only question I've got final question from me would be, if is there anything that you would like to say about TM for people who may be watching this that I haven't asked you about, or something that, I mean, the usual question to ask is like, if you were recommending it to a friend, if you felt a friend could benefit, but they were on the fence, what would you say to try and nudge them over? Or,
If I come at this from the business owner angle, because there are lots of people these days that run their business, uh, when I had the idea to do this, I offer that the company would pay for any employee to learn to meditate. My assumption was that maybe 20 or 30% of them will be interested and take it up. When in fact it's been probably closer to 90% that have been offered, and there's no real sales pitch. It's just quietly we make them aware this is available if you wish to take advantage of it. And honestly, it's one of the best things you can do for your business. So if you want things to run smoother, if you want people to be less stressed, less dysfunction, less arguments, I would say we have as close to zero politics as you're going to get in a recruitment business, which is typically a very kind of cutthroat, intense business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is literally one of the best investments you can make in your team, and it's just a great thing to do for people. I mean, what greater gift can you give them? And companies, spend, well, let's call it as it is, waste a lot of money on various incentives and things here and there. This is something that will kind of stand the test of time. That would be my message, is to, if you're thinking about it, if you are a TM practitioner or someone in the movement and you're thinking about doing it for your team, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.